Right, so I wanted to share with you a short history of religion from the Jewish perspective, according to the Torah. Right, what we're trying to do in this group is to teach Judaism and teach how to look at the world based on the Torah. Right, the Torah is the blueprint of the world. You understand how the world works. There's only one truth, the truth of God. The truth of God is all written in the Torah. So that's my source reference. I'm not here to give my opinion. I'm only here to share the understanding that we have from the Torah, which is God's perspective on how to understand the world, so to speak, for our limited brain. So this is the way, so far I understand, the Torah is teaching us about the world. Originally, everybody believed in one God. It started with Adam and Eve, and everybody knew there was one God. However, once Adam and Eve sinned, and once there was a flood, people started thinking that God had rejected mankind, and because God had destroyed and killed, well, all the people from the time of the flood, and it didn't seem that the world was progressing. So it looked like human beings were left on their own and without a connection with God. Only very few individuals kept the connection. Noah was one of them. And one of the reasons after the flood, they started building the Tower of Babel. It says the Tower of Babel was a tower to fight God and to defy God, to prevent the flood from happening. How could they think that they could defy God? The only reason you could think such a thing is you think that God has abandoned the world and has given power to the angels and the stars and to the spiritual forces, and left and is not involved anymore. It's like on automatic mode. So because of that, the world started going more and more into idolatry and started believing that there's no God, and we're going to replace all the gods by many gods, and through the powers of the stars, all that, we're going to learn to control the world and to make our lives. So different religions and sects and spiritual groups started coming from that, whether it's from Chinese or the Egyptians, all the old famous religions that everybody knows about, all came from that belief that God has abandoned the world. But then came the Jewish people, Abraham and the Jewish people, who God decided that they it's not that he decided. He proposed to Abraham, Yitzhak, Yaakov, and Yaakov's sons, and to the Hebrews who were in Egypt, and finally came out to make a nation out of them, and make a Jewish take upon the Jewish mission, which is to show the world that God is still involved in the world and still has a relation with the world, and he didn't abandon the world. So now the Jewish people's job was to start and teach mankind about the relationship and how to reconnect all of mankind to God. And start having a relation with him, and not with all the intermediaries, all the stars, all the angels, or all that stuff. So from then on, what happened is that the Jewish people started the rectification and started spreading the knowledge of God in the world, and with the climax being the time of King Solomon, when all 70 nations, is one of the reasons why King Solomon married all thousands women, because he wanted to unite all of earth as one people, and the Jewish people being like the male, and the non-Jewish people being like the female, so like a couple. And what happened is that the Jewish people have not been able, at that time there was still a lot of rectification and purification missing to be able to be a light unto the nations. So it didn't continue for more than 400 years when the temple eventually got destroyed. And what happens is that because of that, God destroyed the first temple, and now there was a need to continue the mission. So, as Rabbi Mendel Kessin explains, God now used the other nations, the other religions, the other other groups in order to bring about the knowledge of God in the world, especially Esav, since we know that once Yaakov, meaning the one descent from Esav, because when we know that Yaakov goes down, Esav goes up. That was the deal. If Yaakov doesn't do his job, Israel doesn't do his job, then Esav is gonna take lead. And Esav, as we know, is connected to Rome and the last exile, the past 2,000 years. He takes the Greek exile, the Persian exile, and kind of put it together. But basically from Rome came the rise of Christianity and Islam and all that stuff, which in many ways we are thankful to, bringing a lot of message. Christianity and Islam spread all over the world the message of one God, the message of God loves you, the message of you have to be good to another person. And Jesus, as much as who was a religious Jew, as much as Christianity, has been just teaching and spreading whatever the Torah was saying, whatever the Old Testament was saying. It's all about Judaism. The problem is that because Judaism had lost its sparks, had lost its right, temporarily at least, to be a light unto the nation. That light came, like we said, through Esav, through Rome, through Christianity, through Islam, and through Buddhism, and through all the things that speaks about God and creating unity and love and all that. And this is what has happened since then. Now we're coming at the end of time where Judaism is getting back that light, meaning that responsibility, that final ability to be a light into the nations. And that's why Israel has come back on its earth, and there's a nation of Israel with a country, and it's preparing itself to become finally the ultimate husband, the ultimate light into the nations that it was supposed to be. Now, however, what's happening is that when the Jews have not been able, in the time of King Solomon, to be holy enough to be a light unto the nations, people thought that the God had also abandoned the Jews. Not only he had abandoned earth, but now he abandoned the Jews. Although in the Old Testament he said he will never abandon the Jews, and the Jews will always be connected. However, that's what the people started believing, and because Jesus seemed very holy, and so they took that message and they made a religion that replaced Judaism. That now that the Judaism has failed, now we're gonna take the message of Jesus, which is anyway the same message as Judaism, nothing new, and we're gonna make it a new religion, and that new religion is going to be the light unto the nation. So Christianity became the light unto the nation, and with also the help of Islam, who has also spread the word of God. Now, obviously, there was distortion from translating the Torah, from translating the Hebrew into, which happened actually today. The 10th of Tevet is the day where they complete translating the Torah in Greek. And basically, once you translate the Torah, the original script, into any language, it loses its true meaning, and a lot of distortion can happen. That's the power of the oral tradition that the Jews have kept about how to translate the Torah properly, because otherwise we can just do whatever we want, and we destroy the essence of Judaism. So in a way, I want to take the opportunity with this video to send a message that in many ways we are grateful, meaning every religion, every group has some good and some bad, just like the Jews, like anyone else. The Jews are not better than anyone else. They just have that unique mission, just like the non-Jews have their unique mission, and we're here to be more of a teachers to the nation. Teachers want the student to become greater than them. Real, authentic Jews love non-Jews and want their good. They want peace in the world. They want love. However, it's always a minority who live up truly to what God wants in any group. But what I want to say is I want to have gratitude, and I think Judaism should recognize, because the Rambam and the Kuzari and many others says that what we have just said. Thank you to Christianity, and thank you to Islam, and thank you to Buddhism, and thank you to all the religions or way of life that people have taught, all the leaders that have brought the light that the Jewish people were supposed to bring and were not worthy enough at the time to bring, and lighting the world with the concept that the Torah has been teaching, which is love, peace, harmony, and this is something that every Jew should recognize. However, obviously, we suffered a lot from Christianity and Islam and terrorism and crusades and all the fanatic religions. Like every religion has fanatic religions, and that obviously we suffered from, and we have trauma, and that's one of the reasons why the Jews have a hard time. Especially those who suffered themselves coming from the Holocaust, have a hard time embracing and accepting, or at least being in peace with the other religions and accepting that they have any light at all. Because if someone kills my family, I don't want nothing to do with them. So it is normal to have that type of hatred, or at least resentment. So now we're in a new generation where we have the opportunity to kind of put the past in the back. God did everything. God decided how things were supposed to be based on our actions, and therefore everything really is good and right because God is in charge. God hasn't abandoned us, and He still continues to direct history. So now we are at the stage where we are here to where the Jewish people, and interestingly, now you have Christianity. I mean, a lot of Christians and a lot of Muslims, actually not a lot of Muslims, but a lot of Christian, a few Muslims who are at peace and recognize Judaism as being the source of all that light that is supposed to spread to the nations, and Israel is gonna finally rise now at the end of time, and we are gonna finish the job that we're supposed to start, or that we're supposed to finish a long time ago, and that is to teach the whole world the truth of the Torah, meaning that there's one God, that God has always been here, that He loves us, that we're all one big family, where Adam and Eve, the male and the female, all men and all women, we're all here, and we gotta get rid of the Yetzer Hara of evil in the world, and only learn to make choices based on the good, based on the truth. So this is a little bit the history of, in very short, of humanity, the way I understand the Torah explains it, and our rabbis explains it, and I want to mention also one thing that Mendel Kessin in his class mentioned that is very true, that we don't, people speak about Jesus. First of all, we don't know who Jesus was. However, people say, oh yeah, but Jesus made miracles and all that. Now, it's very nice He made miracles, but we had hundreds of rabbis make miracles. The miracles that Jesus made at the time, almost every rabbi could do it. There are people who can do those things today. It can be done with the power of holiness, right? And we can done with the power of through the dark forces, like black magic. Now, I don't know what Jesus used, but Jesus was a religious Jew, and he was most probably a Tanakh, just like the other rabbis of the time were very holy, and they could do almost anything. They could resurrect the dead. We Jews I have home myself books on how to resurrect the dead, on how to control angels, on how to figure out what soul you were in previous lives, on how to read the face to know who you are and your personality and your mission. So we have everything, and people think that this is wow, no, we always had that. That's part of the Torah. We had that at Mount Sinai. All this was taught. We had plenty of miracles happen throughout Jewish history that non-Jews have no idea, but Jews, we have thousands of stories of miracles. We just had Hanukkah, who was another miracle, and many, many others. So the idea is to say that people think they know what they are taught, what they think they know the root of how religion became their religion, or what, and really they don't know. The people take a concept, and then out of one person they make a whole thing. That's what Judaism cannot accept Jesus, because we don't know who he is, what he wrote. We only have Paul and Matthew starting writing things about him, and they didn't write anything more special than any other rabbis that we Jews have. There's plenty of rabbis like Jesus. Like I like to say that every rabbi is a little Jesus, right? It's clear that Christianity is the closest to what Judaism is, because almost everything good that Christianity Christianity teach exists already in the Torah. There's not one new thing that you're not going to find that exists in the Torah. And some things got distorted, obviously, but everything is there. Anyway, so I'm not attacking any Christianity or Islam or any religion. On the contrary, I'm being grateful for whatever good they brought to the world that the Jews were not able to bring, and I'm sending the message that now it's time to go back to the roots, like the Kuzari and the Rambam and many other rabbis says. Now it's time to go back to the root. Take your Christianity, take your Islam, take all your religions, and go back to the source of where you came from. Go back to the source, to how your religion came about, and understand that it's all rooted in Judaism. There's only one truth, and now it's time for the redemption, to accept that there is one God, and that there's one truth. And if you want to know the truth, you learn the Torah, and you doesn't mean there's not piece of that truth in other religions and nations, but if you want to do the authentic truth, you have to go look in Judaism and ask rabbis, what is the truth? What are the commandments that we as non-Jews are supposed to follow in order to bring the redemption, in order to be one with the Jewish people and with God? There's no competition of religion in Judaism. Judaism is one whole humanity. We're going back to Adam, who is one man. All of humanity is one person. There was no competition. There's no competition with my right and left hand, or between my heart and my brain. We need to work together. The soul and the body work together. The man and the woman work together. And that's really what we have to focus on. That unity, that love, that every religion really speaks about, and of course, not every Jew is gonna, of course, agree with me, or meaning from the Orthodox side, because a lot of them don't have the whole picture. Meaning, I'm not saying I'm better, understand better than them, except certain things, yes, because I didn't grow up religious, because I had a upbringing that led me to understand Judaism better than someone who is born into it. It was a choice for me, and because I learned about the other religions, it gave me better perspective, I believe, than some of the rabbis. But if you go to the climax of to the real rabbis, which usually are not the famous one or popular ones, the real rabbis, they mostly agree with everything I've said. Again, I'm not the only one saying what I'm saying, but what I'm saying is that if you want to find an authentic rabbi, it's not easy, but it's going to be someone who respects you, who loves you, no matter what religion, no matter what you are. Obviously, if you try to hurt him, he's not going to like you. That's normal. We don't want any abuse. This is not that's human rights. That's for everyone. But you got to find someone who can help you understand what we're here for, what's your mission. We all have a personal mission beside our general mission, and that we all have to work at it. So this is what I wanted to share with you. Actually, I'm going to share a little bit more, and what I want to share is that what Judaism really wants from us is that we work on our character traits. Okay, that's the most important thing. Work on your character traits. Become humble, become loving, become tolerant, become patient, become a giver, become humble, become joyful, happy. This is what we have to work on. This is what we're here for. By being all those people, all those traits, by becoming all those traits, we allow God and our soul to shine. We allow God to become part of ourselves and come in this world. This is the most important part of Judaism. Beside that, we need to be very grateful with God and spend most of our time be grateful and talk to God, sing to God, and appreciating life and learning to see God in our lives. Beside that, we have to learn to be healthy physically, meaning learn to live as healthy beings, meaning exercising, have a healthy diet, to respect nature, to respect animal, to live a life of harmony with nature, not destroying the world, being more green than we are. Many rabbis hold we should be vegetarian as much as we can, and obviously we can eat meat once in a while when we do it with the right intention, to elevate the animal, because that's one of the reasons we eat meat, but only if it's done not with, we don't want to kill thousands and thousands of animals just to have a burger and feel good in the stomach. That's not why we eat. We eat to elevate the world. But that's more, deeper Kabbalistic concept. But yeah, eating healthy, living a healthy life, protecting nature, protecting animals, protecting human beings. Obviously, we have to start with human beings, and trying to fight for all the injustices against the poor, the orphans, the widows, anybody who is suffering, who is a victim, needs to be taken care of. The people who are alone, all the people who are isolated, the elderly who are alone, the orphans, the widows, the destitute, the real poor. And I'm mentioning those because that's the Torah and the prophets keeps repeating about those all the time. You want to know if you're a true good person, take care of the ones who are alone. All those who are divorced, all the ones who are single and can't find a spouse. This is what we are all to be. This is humanity at its best, loving, giving, taking care of each other, especially the ones who are alone. So this is, I think that concludes a bit the idea of what Judaism is meant to be. And Judaism basically goes into all those details on how to help everyone in the best possible way, in the most ideal way, and allowing us to keep our moral values within this world, within the modern world. We're not to have to be old-fashioned. However, the commandments are never old-fashioned because they're from God and they're eternal, and each one has a message, no matter how much we understand them with our brain or not. We will never understand them fully because they're from God. but there's a lot we can understand, and each commandment teaches us how to be refined human beings.